Now let's say I'm working on an after trigger, right? So how can I insert values then? And what is the option I have by which I can insert value into the system? So what before that, just always keep in mind that whenever you have certain requirement wherein you need to manipulate the data and insert into the same object, you should always go for a before insert trigger. You should not go for a after insert trigger. I show you the use case why I'm saying this, then it would be more clear to us. So now what we'll do is we'll try to write an after insert trigger. So let's say the use case that we need to implement is that we need to update the value of SLA field based upon the value of type field. Just give me. Okay, so we'll try to write down a trigger here. Try to follow these conventions from day one, right? This indentation and these conventions are very important for you guys to follow. So now if you're trying to do it something like this, it would give you an error. Let's see, does it give or not? Right, so this was something you were trying to do. So was it giving error on the save or was it giving error at the runtime? What do you think? It should give error at the save or it should give error at the runtime?
Runtime error.
It will not be a compilation error.
No.
Right?
Right.
Because there is no issue with the syntax here. The issue is with the way we are using that particular syntax. So now if I try to create a new account, You see error we are getting there. As of now it's saying contact before insert. Okay, it's going into a before insert trigger. Let's first disable that particular trigger. Trigger we wrote yesterday. Now let's select the type for it. Let's enter type as customer direct and try to save it. Why is it not acting on this particular code? It's an active trigger after insert. So will you try to put some debug logs? Yes, so what is the use case of putting these debug logs? Okay, so now let's clone this particular record. So what we are able to achieve with this is whenever we are inserting an account with type as customer direct, SLA would be automatically updated as gold by the system itself. So if you see into the system history, there would be an update happening on this particular record, that it would be SLA is updated to gold. Now the thing is, had we not been using, now see the difference in the code we used here. Let me put it on a, so we are not assigning it to the same account type. Okay, have we been using the same account type, it would have given us an error to us. Now let's just assign it to this and then try how it goes. Now we go to account and say we want to create a new account. Because our trigger is working after insert, it's not working on a after update. Let's let type as customer direct and let's try to save it. So you get, because the final exception is because it's a read only field. So instead of that, what you have to do is you have to always assign it to a new account. So you need to declare a new variable. You need to assign the values into that, and that is something you need to update while you are updating the account. You should not update the existing values, whatever object you get from trigger.new, because that's just a read-only object for you. Now the way I did also is not the right way to do it. Can you just tell me what's wrong in this particular code? Or how will this code behave? Let's say if I am inserting 20 records. Let me increase the size if you are able to feeling issues with. Yep. Can you please tell me what should be and what's the issue with this particular code? Will this code work proper, or is there something we need to add or remove into this particular code? Okay.
For 20 records,
Right, for 20 records.
maybe we need to use a list then.
A list for what?
List to store all the 20 records.
Yeah, that's the right understanding. Good. So what the mistake we are doing here is we are not updating all the 20 records. It would be updating the last record that would be getting. So what you have to do here is you need to store it in a list. Is this visible now proper? Are you able to read the code on my screen?
Yeah.
Thanks for the confirmation. So you need to add it something like this. Every time you declare a new account inside a for loop, add the values into it as required. Once you are done that, put it to a list and say add here. And once you're done with it, you need to update this particular list. So this is the way how you need to do this particular code properly. So what we are doing here is we are doing a manipulation, storing the records in a list, and end of the day we are updating a list at once. We are not making it update every time. Fine. So this works fine. Now let's make some changes into it. Let's say we add a before, after, insert also. Sorry, after update event also. So this may end up in some issues for us. So what we have done is that we have added a for after update also into this particular code. Now let's try to save it. You get a very big exception. Can you please read out this exception and see if you guys can get something out of it? So this is the exception that is coming up on the screen.
We don't know what this error is actually. Maybe it is because of not updating,
Okay.
or maybe this
So
is
now,
because of infinite loop.
so why do you think it would be an infinite loop? Because there's something is getting repeated here, or you think there is something wrong in the logic here? So if we open up this code, can you just explain me what will this trigger do? Starting from here, read from here and see what this trigger will do.
This trigger is trying to update the value of SLA field based upon the value of type. So in the first line, in the first line, we have declared an list called account list, and inside the for loop.
That's fine. So we don't need to understand it completely. So what we are doing is trying to update a list, a value of an SLA field whenever your customer type is customer direct. Okay, type is customer direct. So when all this particular trigger would be called, what are the events on which this part? Yeah, go ahead.
After insert and after update.
Okay, so
whenever we insert value in the customer type,
and update the value in SLA.
So it would go into an infinite loop?
No, it will not.
Why not? So what are the event I am doing? I'm trying to insert a record, right?
Right.
I'm trying to insert a record with type equal to customer direct. What it will do? It will fire an after insert trigger. And what it will do is update account. What will this account call? After update trigger. So what will this do? Update account. It's going into a loop.
Yes.
Yes.
That are the problems you get when you don't try to follow the best practices. So what was the best practice we didn't follow up here? Which best practice we violated in this process, in this trigger?
We must use actually any one of the event, I guess. It should be either after insert or after update.
Okay, that is one. Either we should do one. Okay, let's say I remove insert. Then also it would be into going into after update. After any update on an account, it would start causing these issues, right?
Right.
The best practice we didn't follow here was we have to use an before insert trigger, right? Why are we using it an after insert or an after update trigger? So that was the best practice we violated here. Okay, that's why we say whenever you need to manipulate any of the data on the same object, you should be working on it before insert, before update trigger. We should never work upon after insert, after update trigger. That's one part to it. Now let's say no issues. There are some reasons, there are some circumstances that I am not able to use. I am not able to use a before trigger here. Okay, I am being forced to use an after trigger only. Then what is the way that I can get rid of this particular exception? So what should be the ideal scenario in this particular case? What should be the ideal scenario? Till which point your code should run? Till which line it should have iterated? Only 3, only 4, up to 5. Till which line this code should have executed?
Till 4th line.
Till 4th line. You mean to say the code should not be executed when it's an after update trigger? Because you are already updating it, right?
Yeah, then after 5th line it should not, because once it is updated, update trigger should generate, and after that
this should not happen again. That is something that is causing the issue, right? Update account should not happen again. So means we should add up some condition where we are updating the account. Either we add that condition here, or we add that condition where we are populating this list, right?
Right.
So that's the two places how we can avoid this code from updating again. Okay. Now we are able to find it out where we need to add the conditions.